Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. Realized there was some last minute things I had to change and fix and get ready for the stream. But here we are. It is Monday. Today, we are doing something very special. We are doing, I guess you could call it my entry here into the casting world for casting competitive gameplay, which is something that I kind of would like to do. As a future career, well, part of the things I hope to do, well, maybe not career, but, you know, something I would like to do as part of my VTubing activities here. So today we are doing it as a sample, and we are doing this as a AI versus AI duel. We are not using the wonderful Alpha Star program because I do not have access to it. We are just using the basic inputting game included AI, which is not very good from a competitive standpoint, but hey, we can still watch interesting matches between the teams. You know, it may be a little bit dull at times, and we'll kind of see how this goes. We're gonna do a best of 3 because this could be a while, this could be short, you know, who knows. But we're gonna use the current competitive map pool. And I've already gone ahead and I've randomly selected from Starcraft 2 what our 2 players' races are going to be. One is going to be a Zerg and the other is going to be a Terran. So we're going to do some ZVT, AI versus AI, and just based on my personal viewings of such things before, I have to wager personally that the Terran is probably going to win this. But we'll see if maybe the Zerg can pull something out here. Now I've also really randomly selected 3 maps for this thing. So there isn't much else to say here, other than the fact that this should be pretty interesting. This should be interesting, hopefully. I am certainly interested to see how it's going to go. But without any further ado, let's pop over to the game. And we are loading in to our first map here at the AI versus AI duel. We are going to see our red Terran go ahead and drop names in the comments or the chats of what we think this player should be versus our blue Zerg here on the map Data C. Very interesting looking map. This is actually one that I tested earlier to make sure this is actually going to work. But it's very interesting. We got the 2 sides here. But as soon as this finishes loading in, we'll get things started here on Data C. Come on, finish loading. Yes, this is very exciting. Very interesting. As you can see, I am well prepared. I have my headset ready. I'm here to broadcast what wonderful poor play the AIs have here. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Over here in the 2 o'clock position, we have our blue Zerg here going straight into those drone productions. And over here, good gosh, why is everything seem to not be working right? Here we go. Okay, and over here in the bottom left, about 8 o'clock position, we have our red Terran going straight into gas refinery here. Very interesting choice. I wonder if they're going to go for some kind of early mech, maybe. We'll just kind of have to see how that goes. Zerg going very standard into the spawning pool here. Of course, not much else you can do as a Zerg or this early in the game. And yes, this is our map data C. So we have a nice natural expansion down here that is mirrored. All this down there. Ooh, we have the Zerg going for a very quick expansion here into that second. We have two major options for a third base here. So we'll see which one that goes. So got his early drone scout coming out here from our Zerg. Whereas, yep, we're going straight into a factory mech play. No second gas though from our Terran players. So they may be going just like a tank or two probably to help secure. The AI tends to prefer going with tanks over any other sort of mech. Drone's going to come in here and, oh, nope, he's not going to get up the ramp. Going to get zoned out by this Marine. Very interesting. Now, if this were two human players, I actually don't know what the current meta is, but typically as a Zerg, you want to generally have more bases than your opponent. So while this quick second here is going to be very beneficial for our Zerg player here, they definitely want to try and keep up a larger base count. So expanding to a third base here or here and maybe even a fourth base would definitely be advantageous to them. Looks like they might actually, nope, notice the drone's just going to slide on back. And that's primarily because our hatcheries here are Zerg producing structures. It's where all the troops come from and all this wonderful goodness for our Zerg. We see Terran going down to expand here, quite a bit behind our Zerg player, but you know, the Zerg already has their second base up and running, whereas our Terran has another, what is it, 60-ish seconds worth of build time. We have roaches coming out from our Zerg player now, and based on our units that we have here, you know, single roach currently on the field, more coming out though. A few Zergs. That tank though, we got a tank here now for our Terran player. That's definitely going to secure, zone out any sort of kind of aggression that the Zerg may opt to try and put on this early, especially with a low Zergling count and relatively low roach count. Got Zergling speed coming in here for our Zerg, and Tech Labs dropping down on our barracks over here for the Terran. See, a little bit of oversaturation, at least according to the in-game saturation monitor for our Terran player. But then you see coming down the ramp here, this Zergling is not going to make it up. Definitely get potentially zoned out. Tank doing what the Marines did not. But definitely a worse position for the Zerg at the moment. Given that now both bases are up and running for our Terran player and our Zerg player is not currently expanding. They're not even taking the gases here, and they've had this base now for at least a minute ahead of our Terran player. Still relatively low Zerg force count coming in, but we are starting the 1-1, at least for range attacks, Zerg upgrades, whereas we're only getting combat shields and stim here for our Terran. We do have medevacs on the way though coming in. That's definitely going to only advance our Terran player's position even more We do have the infestation pit, so we could, yes, we are experiencing, I believe this is an upgrade. No, this is not the upgrade yet, just yet. We do have a baneling nest coming down, though. If they can get off some banelings against this primarily bio-based force coming out of the Terran, it would be beneficial for them. But right now, pretty good Marine count, pretty good Marauder count. It's only increasing again. Currently still only the one siege tank, though that's probably all they need at the moment to keep that nicely zoned out. We do have a third base finally coming in here for our Zerg player, though. A couple of Ravengers here coming up, as well as Hydras coming in finally. Definitely going a stereotypical Zerg build for what a Zerg force should be, at least according to lore, not necessarily gameplay. We do have the Terran force moving out, stopping that Zergling from denying this third base expansion for our Terran. Definitely, like I said, a worst position currently for our Zerg, not having that base count higher. I would definitely have preferred to see the Terran take this location for their third, as they could easily garrison their troops kind of like in right here, kind of to cover this base, but also still cover their ramp into their second here. But so this one is a little further out, a little bit more exposed. Definitely, if the AI was a little more knowledgeable, it would be able to split forces. Definitely a weak point, because we are still looking primarily at a bio-based force that's going to be very good all clumped up together, as opposed to spread out. Yes, that's what I was looking for. More tanks coming in, though, so their position, at least holding their expansion, is going to be a little more secure at the moment, though we are starting to run out of minerals up here at the Terran main and at the Zerg main as well. So definitely need to start expanding into even further locations as well. More upgrades coming in. Baneling speed is coming in. Taking a look at our overall upgrades, we do have +1 attack for the Terran infantry, but we still do have that +1 carapace and +1 missile attacks. And we got both forces moving out here, engaging in the center of the map. Kind of the Terrans a little bit catching the Zerg off guard, but kind of having the slightly better concave was the Zerg, though that Terran Bioforce did manage to hold them off, the Zerg off from the tanks dealing a lot of pressure and pushing those Zerg back. Fourth base coming down for our Terran, which is very good for them. The overall took some not as significant losses. Definitely still having those tanks is definitely going to play a huge factor. Medevacs here just going to heal up the Bioforce, whereas Zerg have to spend all those minerals and gases rebuilding the majority of their force. Fourth base coming down here for the Zerg, though. So a little bit, like I said, a little bit behind our Terran player, who just now finishes up the 4th command center. Really want to see the Zerg do a little bit more expansion as well. That would really benefit them. A couple of spying crawlers going down. Not very good in the long run. We do have not the armory. I thought that was a bunker for a second. No, just another armory. Missile turret coming down for some anti-air. Not that the Zerg has air forces going for it at the moment. Just currently relying on some overseers, which is going to be very useful, as the Terran force now is incorporating Widow Mines into that. These Hellbats, though, only 2 of them on the field, but we are going to have some issues as the Zerg force, because those Hellbats can definitely zone out the Zerglings even for a little bit. Is going to be very difficult. 5th base now coming down for the Terran. very, very far out. I think this would have been a slightly better choice for the 5th base, and we do have the Terran Force now moving out. Ravens to additionally detect any sort of burrowing Zerg, which is going to be very important as we do have lurkers in the mix for the Zerg Force. Coming up into the 3rd base, it looks like this queen is just going to get roasted in no time at all. Those Widow Mines coming down, and major lag in the game right now. But we do have, it does look like those lurkers got underground. Raven is zoned out, but those tanks having the range on the lurkers just takes them all out. Unfortunately, without the ground support, with only the ground support of a small handful of Marines and a single Raven, these tanks are probably not going to survive the counterattack. Most of the tanks going down here. A few more Marines still in the area. We have some Cyclones coming in too, which is a very interesting choice. But just enough Terran force here. Oh, the Zerg, taking a poor positioning there. Hydras, very good at the damage output, but very weak. Going to suffer from the Terran tanks. Just laying waste to them. Liberators coming in now, setting up those liberation zones. Not quite enough. No bases lost by the Zerg, but definitely in a far worse position, as they definitely took the much greater beating in the long run here. Another base coming down for the Terran up in the top upper left corner here. That's going to be very interesting. Unfortunately, already scouted by this lone Zergling here. Going to definitely make it a target of opportunity. It is far away from the rest of the Terran's base. 5th base coming down here for the Zerg. Over here, already up. Just got to get the drones transferred to the mining. This Zergling here causing all sorts of mischief. Not going to stop the command center, but like I said, definitely going to expose. Got the entire Terran force coming up just to deal with one Zergling, who is not going to survive in the slightest bit. The entire Terran army coming for his head. A still underwhelming Zerg force here coming in. Not liking the size of this Zerg force when compared to the Terrans. Terran here now has a very scary army. Have the mech with the siege tanks. Looks like, what kind of units do we have here in the mix? We have about a dozen Marines, dozen Marauders. We have Widow Mines coming in. This base is going to get wiped out before the Zerg can get anywhere near here. Liberation zones coming down, tanks setting up, and this is just goodbye Zerg base here. And let's see, they're going to push into the 3rd base here for the Zerg. Liberation zones coming down. Not a good enough response from the Zerg as quickly as they needed to be. They needed to take this position long before. We even have a Thor coming in for the Terran here. Just overall devastating. Looks like a combination of Widow Mines, Liberation Zones, and the wonderful siege tank positioning all the way back here is going to keep the Zerg force at bay. We have no units basically whatsoever for our Zerg. Just, yeah, this is not looking good for our Zerg player at all. Getting pushed back. They're up to the transitional point between the expansion and what is now the lone 3rd base for the Zerg. And with plenty of troops to spare, more reinforcements streaming in from the Terran production. Another Thor here just to add a little more insult to injury, I feel like. Clearing out this third, and does lose one of the Thors, but that's what you get when you take on basically everything that's coming at you from the Zerg. Still not going to be quite enough to kind of stop the Terran force coming in, pulling the drones to just try. We got a ghost here. This is probably past the point where if both these players were human, the Zerg player would have typed the GG at this point. But AIs are a little foolish when it comes to understanding when to surrender. And so we're probably going to see a few more minutes, or a few more seconds here, and as the Terran moves into the main, devastating everything before they finally call the GG. There's the GG, and it is our Terran player up 1-0 over our Zerg player. Woo. Wow. And pretty epic first game, actually. And I'm very excited. Let me just switch over to here really quick. Hang on one second. There we go. Boom. So, I did not do this quite right. Here we go. Down. Boom. Boom. And do. There we go. So that was our first map. It was on Data C. It was our ZVT. And we are currently at 0 to 1. Boom. There we go. Looking at the record there. We have a wonderful first ZVT. Unfortunately, like I said, pretty predictable. The Terran kind of dominated that entire map here. But we'll have to see what difference our second map might make for our Zerg player. If they can get a good rush going, they may be able to have a better outcome. But we'll have to see. Our second map here is going to be called Inside and Out. Here. And then as we get it set up here, we're going to see that it definitely has some lava going for it. Not sure if that will make a huge difference. Oh, hello! But we're going to dive here into game number 2. The Z have advanced early to mid. Well, we certainly hope that they have. And they have. That's very good. Unfortunately, the AIs don't take advantage of a lot of tactics that are common in competitive. So we'll just have to see. Diving into our second game here on Inside and Out, we have in our upper left 1 o'clock position our blue Zerg here. Give it up. They tried really hard in the first match, but we'll see how far I can carry them into the second here, and maybe into the third if they can pull off a win here. And down in the lower left corner, we have our Red Terran. Nice expansion right here, of course mirrored for everybody. Very difficult to choose which one would probably be a better expansion here on this map for Terran. Probably this one here. Whereas Zerg probably want to expand if they can push their creep, which they're very bad at doing as AIs as well. It would be better, but get those bases connected. Looks like they're going for another fast early expansion here. They can gather up the minerals for it. 200 currently. And there we go. There it is. Actually, looks like we're going to have a fast expansion here from the Terran as well. Very interesting. Last map they went for the... Well, they still have the quick gas here for the early kind of mech securing siege tank. Kind of keep those Zerglings zoned out. But here they have not opted for the quick factory, instead going for, like I said, that quick command center here. Definitely going to keep them ahead of the Zerg in that respect. Unless the Zerg can muster up a good Zergling count here early and kind of push their little advantage. They do have taken their gas, both gases quick though. So maybe they're going to go faster into Roach Tech or something like that. Got our initial Marine, keeping out our initial Zerg. Yeah, a little bit. Transfer of our drones coming in. Here comes that quick factory here. Not as quick as it could have been, but still pretty quick. That is a long game strat. Isn't the best on a small map. Yeah. Well, if these were also, again, if these were actual players as opposed to just the in-game AI, we'd also like to see our Zerg expanding to far more bases, far more quickly. Potentially even like a 3-base strat very quick. As Zerg, you want to keep, you know, your base count higher, generally speaking. Here comes the second gas from our Terran. Finally getting in. There's that Roach Warren. It's a bit late, probably, considering what we're looking at here. And having that gas as early as they did. Do have quite a stock of gas for their troops. What exactly are they doing? Very interesting. Quick layer, I feel like. But definitely, yeah, a few roaches here. Definitely a low... Again, a low Zergling count here is not going to help them secure any sort of map presence. Stim coming in for our Terran as well as the starport for those medevacs. They are definitely going... Looks like for a very similar strategy. Third barracks coming in as well. Let's take a look at the... Okay, so they got a... Zerg keeping those Lings kind of patrolling the map. Getting some good scouting in. Not quite as good from the Terran. Do have an SCV roaming the map, but not a whole lot going for them. For their map awareness. Hydroden coming in as well, forming the lore-wise good Zerg mix, but competitive-wise not so great. especially as we do have a large bioforce still in production here for the Terran. Actually, no siege tank on the map at the moment. Very interesting. No, not going for that securing siege tank to kind of keep things zoned out. Third base coming in for the Terran, definitely ahead of the Zerg in that respect. No gases on the expansion from our Zerg. They are still hovering with a nice pool of gas, so not the biggest deal breaker from them. Not a lot to spend their gas on at the moment. They're coming with the infestation pit. Not dealing with too many upgrades. We've got level 1 infantry weapons coming in for our Terran. Definitely I would give the advantage, even more of an advantage right now, to our Terran player. If they pushed out, I don't think there would be much that the Zerg player could do. Not a large force, only a couple Ravagers, few Hydras. This could be a very quick end to the best of 3 out here for our Terran player, and for our Zerg player. Very in the worst case for the Zerg player. Going for that 3rd expansion, but that may not last too much longer. Transfers down to 3rd base for the Terran. We do have level 1 upgrades of weapons and armor coming in for the Zerg, but running quite a bit behind. We have concussive grenades and not too much longer for Terran infantry. Weapons are done. Armor's already almost halfway done for Terran ground forces as well. Unnecessary Viking coming in, given that they have no air units to counter at the moment. Unless it's to kind of zone out the overseers, perhaps. But very interesting that they're not utilizing the mech here in the second match that they used to great effect in the first match. Very interesting to see what they decide to do here. More gas kind of finally coming in for our Zerg players. They seem to be going with some infestors here. Maybe that can balance it out if they get some good fungals going off. 4th base coming in for the Terran. Again, keeping well ahead of where our Zerg player is. More factories, more barracks, more starports. All of everything. Fusion core coming in. We might see a battle cruiser here on the field. That would be very interesting and exciting to see. And it looks like Terran pushing out here. Looks like we're going to have the battle probably right here in front of our Zerg's expansion. Not a very good fungal growth, grabbing most of the Marines there, also locking down those medevacs. Not a good spread for the Zerg forces, though. That is enough pushing back those Marines. Pretty good holds. Questionable pull back from the Terran, especially with all those Marauders, and it being mostly kind of a roach force that the Zerg was deploying. But hey, if you're ahead, as they used to say, get more ahead. Looks like another base going to come in here for our Terran player. Boom, there it goes. More resources for them. Goody, goody for them. Not a good... Oh, Vikings coming in, keeping that Overseer nice and zoned out, sniping it. Do they even know? Zerg does not even know currently that there's one operational base here and another one going up over here. Boom, while they see that going up. Okay, Terran here can infer that there's a base here because they see the creep. Ravens coming in. Ghost Academy coming down. Yeah, that Zergling didn't stand a chance against the entire army. Fourth base coming in for the Zerg finally. Quite a bit late to the party. I don't know if that's going to make much of a difference for them at this point. Upgrades are all even at the moment, but we do have some ship weapons coming in for the Terrans. We do have some armor and weapons coming in for the Zerg, who are pushing out. I question this decision right now, as they don't have the superior force, especially with as many banelings as they have. Really need to try and save those banelings, but I don't know if that's gonna... Oh, no. Wasted the banelings against the command center. Not a good idea. Not good positioning. They need to get out of there right now. Not a bad fungal there, but not a good position for the Zerg player at all. Streaming in reinforcements here. Liberator coming in. Oh, that is just a complete rout of the Zerg forces here. I see no reason why the Terran shouldn't push out now. Oh, we do have a small Terran force over here harassing the third base. Probably going to get cleaned up, but it is going to cause some damage here, especially with all those Marauders. Good use of the Vikings, though, given that there's not a superior air force. And, ooh, actually, that is quite a few mutas there, which are definitely going to give pause to those Liberators. Actually, Zerg might hold for the moment, though I would like to see more forces coming in from them. Another base coming down the bottom right for the Terran. Very, very interesting. The Terran is acting more like a Zerg than our Zerg player is. No creep connecting our bases. This is just all sorts of wrong from our Zerg player. Are we going to get a battlecruiser? I would love to see a battlecruiser. I don't think we're going to. They're keeping up that Liberator production at the moment at our starports, so... yeah. Good job keeping that CV away there, Queen. Kind of looks like the Terran may want to try moving out, or at least moving some... Where are they moving? Just trying to keep that Overseer away. Base coming down here for the Terran gets immediately spotted by the Zerg. Probably they were looking to expand there themselves. But no immediate response from the Zerg force. Getting the base over here instead. Very interesting. Terran moving out here, and looks like this might be the battle here. Where are they going to have it, though? This base is going to be gone. Pretty fast. Those Zerg really need to get into position. They're pulling back, though. They're going to lose another base. This base is going to be gone, too. Liberators coming in, setting up the zones all over. Not good positioning for Zerg. Pretty good fungal. Couple of banelings going off in the right positions. Are the Zerg actually going to pull this off? Maybe. No. Too many Vikings keeping everything, and Marauders keeping everything on the ground back. Too much for Zerg to overcome. And with the stream of reinforcements that are going to come in from the Terran, unfortunately, I think our Zerg is going to lose this one as well. What a bummer. Unfortunately, just the AI for Zergs is not as good as the AI for Terrans and Protoss from my experience. And this once again backs up that conclusion. Getting on top of the expansion here, Marauders pushing in, reinforcing Marines. Just a whole stream of units coming in here. Ooh. Very messy. Foolishly trying to rebuild the expansion here. But on top of the drones, little minerals left over here. Even though they have this base over here, it's well oversaturated. And just too many units. Gonna get on top of these upgrade centers. All kinds of drones falling left and right. Where's the GG already? Oh, the horror. Oh, we do have a lurker den over here. Oh, the horror. Please let the massacre end. Surrender already. Fleeing overlords. Oh, it's terrible. It's a massacre. A few measly troops coming from the Zerg managed to get spawned in before. Just massacred. Push in. Finish them. Finish them. Stop. Stop. They're already dead. There's the GG. Finally. Oh. Oh. Oh, the humanity. Yes, exactly. He's already dead. Well, that ended very quickly in a resounding victory here for our Terran player. I kind of... You know what? Even though it was the best of three is already over, Terran has already won. Let's play the third map here. Let me get it set up here really quick. It was just a massacre there by the Terran of the Zerg. The AIs really need to learn to give up a lot quicker. Oh. Alrighty. Let's get this final one started. And pop over to the game again. Ooh, we do have a high yield base on this map. So here we are loading into the map Stargazers. This would have been our third map. Well, I guess it is our third map for this cast, even though we don't need it. The huge manatee. Oh, I didn't get it at first. Okay, I got it. Gosh, Flezza, you're terribly slow today. Here we are, spotting in the upper right corner. We have our blue Zerg, our unfortunate loser of this best of three, but gonna give it their all here in the third map, hopefully. And spawning up here in the upper right corner, our victorious Terran, but definitely gonna give it all in this final bit of show match too. Over here, we got a nice sort of tucked away expansion in the back of these main bases here, blocked off by some simple minerals. A very unusual choice. Usually go with destructible rocks, but that will definitely make a very interesting choice of expansion should they opt to go there. Of course, the more natural expansion here, moving downwards, Wide open choke point, 3 lanes of attack. Going to be very interesting to see what they opt to do, especially if they do opt to expand into these back bases and open up these back ramps as well. Could be a very interesting attack pattern if they choose to take it. Looks like we're going for another very quick expansion from our Zerg. And as soon as they get the minerals for it, at least. And we do have relatively quick gas again coming down from our Terran. No sorts of expansion, or at least evidence of an expansion choice from our Terran. There's the hatchery for the expansion. And coming in, so he's just scouting SCVs, making very interesting scouting choices at the very least. Marine just patrolling just to see if there are any overlords. Of course there are not, because why scout with something that's perfect for scouting as a Zerg? And you're the AI. Very, very typical. Ooh, actually not very typical. We do have the Baneling nest coming in very fast for the Zerg here. Typically they've been going for the Roach Warren first. But we do have the counter to that, the factory coming in. If they get the tank or 2 out, that should keep any sort of Baneling play zoned out for quite a while. Very fast production of Zerglings here too, so they may actually be looking for a pretty quick Zergling push here. Already moving out with most of them. Looks like pushing across the map. They could overwhelm the defenses at the moment. The Terran really needs to hurry up and get even a Hellion would probably be a decent choice here. We do have a lot of Zerglings. There's the first Baneling coming in. That is retreating for some reason. But it's very interesting. This is probably the earliest aggression that we've seen out of either player in any of these matches. Unfortunately, opting to just run up and run back down is not a way to fight such a force, and taking far too many losses. Understandably going to pull back from this. Unless they get more Zerglings stream in, which they are not at this point. They do have a number of Zerglings on the way, though. And so many Banelings coming in. So many Banelings, actually, too. If they can do this, they might just pull this off. If they can Baneling bust with that Zergling support, they might be able to do it. But they really need to push right about now, because if Terran opts to do any sort of counter play, because right now they are just running on Marines, which is not a good combination against Marine or Baneling Zergling. Do have stim and combat shields, but even that might not help too much. Expansion coming down for our Terran player. They are not preparing for any sort of Baneling counterplay. But our Zerg is not taking advantage of their position right now either. So, I guess not a bad choice for the Terran. Marauders coming out finally. Roach Warrens coming down. Yeah, looks like the Zerg has opted for a more passive stance now. Unfortunate, because they probably could have pushed in and done some real damage there with proper usage of their Zerglings and Banelings. But that is going to... Well, actually, they're behind. The Zerg is so behind in supply as well. So, maybe a good idea that they're not pushing. Oh, maybe they are going to push after all. But with that many Marauders, I don't know. It's very risky for the Zerg here. They might be relying solely on this attack. If they can win with this attack, maybe. With that number of Marines, that number of Marauders, backed up by that, even that small number of medevacs, no, it is not. It is a no-go. Zerg needs to build up their economy, which is just in shambles right now. Not enough, not nearly enough drones for what they need. Unfortunately, upgrades coming in for the Terran only is going to secure their position. This is just looking worse for the Zerg with each passing second now. Trying to stabilize their economy. Not really working because they're trying to reinforce with the troops that they're going to need to try and repel any sort of attack. Got some Hellions coming in for our Terran player. But overall, it's just not very good. Third base coming down for our Terrans is not where you want to be right now as a Zerg player. I don't know what else to say to help you here, Zerg. You're not taking any of my advice. Large number of refineries coming down or extractors, excuse me, for our Zerg. And they are not taking kindly to this. However, the Terran force is not currently growing, instead relying on upgrading, getting to better points. Another barracks coming in. Zerg pushing out for an attack. We'll see if it's the right call here. I don't think they have it. Getting those banelings in quick might help. Oh, if those banelings connect, this... Oh, good connections on the banelings, wiping out most of the Marines, but those that Marauder count, just too much. Easily wiping the floor with the roaches and the Hydras. Third base coming in for Zerg, which is not enough for what they need. They are far, far behind, even more so now. Tanks coming out for our Terran are just going to secure any sort of line and position that they want. Ugh, this is just looking more and more messy with each passing second. Fully saturated on all their expansions. Terran might be looking to expand here again anytime soon. If I were the Zerg in this position, what would I do? I think the best option for the Zerg right now, were they a human player, would probably be to go for some kind of muta harass. Especially... well, missile turrets are being placed down now. But even with one or two, if they had a large enough group of mutas, they could still do some damage. Especially because of the poor placement of the missile turrets here. Missile turrets are better here. But they could come in, harass the mineral line here, disrupt add-ons, workers, disrupt production. If they can pick off, you know, some units as they're flowing out, that would be beneficial. But it's a bit too late. The Zerg force is not ready for this Terran force that is pushing out now onto the field. And they are just going to get steamrolled here at the third. Oh, this is going to be a massacre. Pretty good fungal on the Marines there, but too many Marauders again, just compromising that entire core of that ball. That poor little drone. Walking straight in. Just enough tanks to secure that back line position. One poor little Zergling out here harassing everybody, but that is not going to be enough as the Terran moves in for the kill here, taking out the expansion. All Zerg troops far too outnumbered here. As the Terran pushes up into the main, this is going to be a very quick end here for our Zerg again. Just not playing the way a Zerg needs to be playing. Unfortunate. But pretty good play here from our Terran player. Just call it already again, Zerg. You're getting massacred again. There's the GG. There's the GG. Boom. Well, that was just a massacre. But congratulations to our Terran player, our Terran AI, coming in, stomping all over the Zerg, and making sure that Terran currently does and continues to maintain its supremacy over the Zerg force. Nobody wants to be infested. Just a horrible way to go. And let's get our music back in here. Congratulations to our Terran player winning the best of 3 2-0. And even going on to win the third match as well. Very exciting. That was a lot quicker than I was hoping it was going to be. But, you know, like I said, Zerg very, very much disappointed everything. Not maintaining the situation that would be optimal for it. And disappointing. So, that is our outcome. A wonderful win from the Terran. That is going to be all for today, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We'll probably do something like this again. I've considered in the past before doing a kind of GSL style tournament out of AIs. But I don't know if that would be truly as exciting as I think it would be. But let me know. But that is going to be all for today, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Flezza. Tomorrow, we're continuing our journey through space play. Space this week is the theme for the most part. So we will be continuing our space theme by playing some Among Us. Look forward to that. But my name is Flezza. Thank you so much for coming. I will see you guys tomorrow. And until then, everybody, take care, stay safe, all that wonderful stuff. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.